Fire Up Nation! Hola, bienvenidos a Costa Rica.
Mis amigos?
También.
Pura vida, pura vida. También.
I'm learning Spanish still, even though
Mi esposa Graceland.
I learned it in elementary school. I pretty much can give you directions or talk about school supplies, and that is my Espanol. However,
¿Dónde está su mochila?
no sé.
Muy bien.
We were just jamming out to Natasha Bedingfield. If you guys recall the song Unwritten, Reed was really feeling the beat.
Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin.
Wow, you're really taking that pitch up high. No, but it's a great song, and I feel like sometimes songs have a way of just hitting you, or books, when you're like, dang, you couldn't have said that better, or I couldn't have said that better myself. And I feel like with Unwritten, the way that it hits you is just like possibility, right? Like, it's unwritten. Anything can happen from here. And we actually previously wrote an article about the journey is the destination. And we were just reflecting on like, yeah, dude, how great is it that like, today is a new day, beginning of a new chapter of anything is possible. And so we are just gonna like talk to y'all about that, because how cool is that we get to create and experience life in this like beautifully fluid way where it's like, it ain't gonna over till it's over, right? Like you never know what's on the other side of your next yes, you never know what's on, the other side of maybe like a trying time or challenging time. It's like the opportunities continue to unfold if you just allow the journey to be the destination and know that it's always moving, it's always growing, it's always expanding. So what do you have to say about the journey?
Ooh, the journey. Me gusta the journey.
También.
También. Perfecto. I'm loving the journey. I mean, to me, that's like, it's replaced the destination, because they're one and the same, right? I think we're here on Earth, to learn something and to grow, biospiritually, to evolve and expand ourselves. And so the way that the universe delivers that is through opportunities and challenges and things that are if you're seeing it as happening for you, it's meant to give you a new perspective or challenge you to overcome something that could be holding you back, and then to unleash and open up an even bigger perspective, a greater opportunity, and just expansiveness, right? So I think we're multi-dimensional beings, and there's levels to us. And so the more that we can embrace that and just get in the flow of life, so that
How do you know you're in the flow?
Oh, Are you, so we had this guy in New Zealand, this is funny. We did this whitewater rafting thing on bodyboards. So we're navigating the rapids on bodyboards.
It was hard work, let me tell you.
It was. I mean, I almost had a heart attack. I wasn't in very good shape back then. But the guy gave us this whole pep talk before the thing. He's like, okay, so the objective here is to stay in the flow. How do you know when you're in the flow? You'll know. How do you know when you're not in the flow? You'll know. All right, so let's stay in the flow, everybody. If you're out of the flow, get back in it. Let's go. I mean, that was pretty much like the whole thing, but it's so perfect. It's like a perfect summary of life. It's like you feel it. You know when you're in the flow. You know when you're inspired and living like from within yourself, and you're standing in your power, and everything just seems to be working, and you feel vibrant and alive, and that's the flow, baby, right? And then conversely, when it's a struggle, when you feel diminished, when you're just slogging through and everything seems to be happening to you instead of for you, that's when you're out of the flow. So you gotta navigate back in. You gotta swim back in and ride that, baby, ride it. So anyway, that's kind of what it is for me. It's like, it's saying that the journey is all we have, right? It's like the present moment is all that exists. And so if you're gonna engage with it and live in it, then you're opening up to the expansiveness of the universe. But if you're gonna like try to control it or always be focused on somewhere other than here right now, then I think you're gonna miss out on the beauty of what is.
Yeah, and I heard this, I guess, a night or two ago that I thought was really powerful about destination. Sorry, I thought there was an ant in my pants. destination flexibility, right? And so you hear, have a vision, hold on to the vision, take the steps towards it. And that is, I do believe, very important. And I love this idea of destination flexibility because how it's described is, when you put in your GPS where you're going, right? Like, that's where you're headed. You may say, oh, I know this little spot over here. It's not take me this way, but I want to go see like this scenic detour. I'm going to have a stop, and it'll reroute, right? So it's like, you can either by choice, take those detours, or, oh, there's a roadblock right here. I've got to go around, right? And so this destination flexibility, or the concept of it, is to, like, yes, have in your mind's eye, or, you're taking the steps towards this vision that you have for yourself and your life, and don't be so stuck on the destination that you're not experiencing freely and enjoying the journey while you're getting to where you think you want to go. Because actually during the journey, which is also the destination, you may find out like, oh, actually I hadn't even realized this was a possibility over here. I hadn't, wasn't exposed to this, but now that I am, I'm actually going to maybe even change my destination. And if you aren't gripping so tightly what it is that you think you have to have, or what it is that you think you're going for, then those opportunities can present themselves, and it can turn out like way better than you would have thought because you were dead set, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was really helpful way to look at it about the GPS. And then also within that, like the whole process flexibility, or how things happen, right? Same thing. If you're rigid and you're thinking like, I want to do this thing, it's got to look this way. Like, challenge yourself and say, what if I couldn't do that? Like, how else would I do it? Or what other step might I take? And it doesn't mean you have to go squirrely whirly and be all over the place, but it's like, am I okay with it going differently? Like, your purpose, or you're meant to focus on the direction, right? And the how will take care of itself. So allow yourself to be open to the process. And to me, that all, again, speaks back to the journey is the destination, and it's unwritten. Like, you don't know it. It's not like anybody has it set in stone. This is what Reed's life is meant to look like, or this is what Grayson's life is meant to look like. Well, oh, you messed up. I mean, I believe that we have free will of choice, and it's all how you interact with what is put in front of you, what you learn, how you grow, and I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's in this song that you referenced earlier, it's like staring at the blank page before you, and it's like, this is where the book begins, the rest is still unwritten. So you're writing the story as you go. And I just want to touch on something because I think is a good analogy here. It's like my parents a few weeks ago were driving to us during rush hour, and they know their way, right? Like they're set in that, and that's cool, but they like took the way. But if they had just plugged it into Waze, they could have weaved 100 different directions and been there 30 minutes earlier. And it's kind of like that, right? So if you let go of needing to control how it goes, or you're open to a different way, then you might get there a lot faster, right? Or said another way, it's like if you're just maintaining openness to the possibilities, then there's really no such thing as failure. You're just getting feedback, and then you are taking the next step with more knowledge of where in fact you're going now. So it's kind of like you get to aim each time that you take an action. So the important part is to not stop, to take that next step, take that next action, say that next yes, and keep putting yourself out there, because that's I think what the journey is, right? You don't journey anywhere if you never take a step.
And I love what you said about could get there faster. I think that's an important part too, is like, what is your objective? Is it, in some cases it might be speed, in some cases it might be enjoyment, in some cases it might be, you got to know what your priorities are, and they may change in different scenarios. In driving, sure, it may be like, I need to get there, I got to go fast, so that presents one way. I want to have the most beautiful route to get from A to B, and it may take you 4 hours out of the way, but hey, you got to see the Grand Canyon, so it's like, just depends. I think that's also when you're talking about the steps in your life, or the vision that you have, depending on what it is, efficiency may not always be the right way. Like I'm a person that likes to be efficient, and he will attest, sometimes that makes me slightly impatient, or like, okay, let's go, right? And so I think that recognizing there is a need for speed in some scenarios, and there's also a need or a desire to be present, enjoy, slow, pura vida, and so I just think that recognize and prioritize what it is that you're wanting to experience out of the route or the choice that you're making, and be clear on what matters most to you, because then you have an opportunity to align your actions towards that. And if the rest is still unwritten, you're just like, I just want to enjoy this life that I have and learn and grow. Well, great. Then ask yourself the questions. How can I make this the most joyful? How can I be the most present as I, whatever, fill in the blank to your scenario? But I think that that's really, I don't know, just a distinction I wanted to make about it's not always speed.
No, not always speed, and yeah, and you gotta feel it along the way, because I mean, come on, man, like that's what living is all about, is like feeling your feelings and just exploring the depths of yourself and opening up to that. Gosh, man, I love feeling the rain on my skin, and I love.
Wish I had a little drops to there. Yeah.
I'm not crying, it's just raining on my face.
Oh man.
It's a musical out here, guys. So just keep singing, keep dancing, keep taking the next steps. The journey is the destination.
Enjoy it.
The rest is still unwritten.
Love y'all.